Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, Twitch, and sometimes the Prepper Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is September 17th, 2022, and this is episode 170 of the Workshop Podcast. So how is everyone? It's been a week. Let's put it that way. That's all I can say. It's been a good week, but it has been a week. So announcements. First off, for the old switcheroo, I didn't mean to do a bait and switch on you this week. I had planned an episode on my top 90s shit hit the fan episode, movies, that kind of stuff. And I was really looking forward to doing it. And the topic of today's episode is going to tell you why I wasn't able to do that episode justice. So instead, I decided, hey, I'm going to share with you my journey the last couple of weeks of getting ready for an epic road trip, the longest road trip I've ever taken all by myself. So it's going to be kind of fun. Looking forward to it. Going to share some lessons, going to talk about the absolute sheer overwhelmingness, is that a word, that has been hanging over me like a cloud for the last 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you what I've learned and how I've overcame and how excited I am to hit the road. So really, there's only two quick announcements to get out of the way, guys. The first one, of course, is Prepper Camp. So if you haven't bought your tickets, it's kind of late for that. But if you have tickets and you're going to be there, I'd love to meet up. Hey, Pappy Cannoli, good to have you, my friend. So yeah, I'm going to be at Prepper Camp. That'll be, well, I'm going to be arriving there in 5 days, which is incredible. I'm excited about that. Driving across the country. I'm going to be there. I'd love to do a workshop meetup or just meet up in general. Don't really know the lay of the land there yet. This is my first time going, so I'm going to learn as we go, but I'll do my best to put things on social media. And if you come by and chat, I'll give you as much time as I possibly can. I'm looking forward to seeing as many people as I can there, making all the connections and encouraging as many people as I can, and hopefully meeting some new people. So, number two, Self-Reliance Festival. So this weekend coming is North Carolina. Weekend after that is Camden, Tennessee for Self-Reliance Festival. I'm rather looking forward to that one as well. That's a little more comfortable for me. It's in Tennessee where I've been before. A lot of people there that I know. Really excited about that. It's at the SOE compound. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. And tickets are still available for that. So selfreliancefestival.com is the way to get them. Drop by, pick them up, whatever. I'm excited. We are definitely, there's going to be a bunch of workshop community members there. So we're going to put together some sort of workshop meetup where we can sit around and maybe have an excuse to have a swig of bourbon or maybe do a quick live stream or just sit around and enjoy each other's company and meet in person again, which will be great. So yeah, like I said, I had planned doing another movie episode this week, and that just kind of, I decided everything that was on the go, I wanted to share with you the preparations I've been taking over the last 2-3 weeks to plan for a road trip, plan for a camping trip, put together 2 speaking presentations, also a 4-day training experience at Tactical Response, all of that, all of the above. So, well, let's get into it. First off, this week in the workshop. It's Saturday. I love doing the weekly workshop, this week in the workshop segment, just to share with you some of my thoughts, some of the goings on. I know a lot of you enjoy that sort of thing, but first off, I got to say, being a general contractor, not something I've ever done before. And this was only a small project, but it seems like what it is putting out small little fires and herding cats. That's kind of what it feels like. You do your best. When you start, you have all the trades lined up. You want everybody there to get everything done. But the realistic end of things is not everybody can do everything all at once. Sometimes you need to have the stairs just for the flooring guy, so the flooring guy can do the stairs, and the HVAC guys can't go up and down the stairs, or sometimes the electrician's there making dust, and that can't be there when they're putting down adhesive for the floor. And, so as much as you want to have everybody there working every single day, it doesn't work. It is what it is. So, hey, we got Chris Dixon in here. He is on the Dixon Way. He's on the road home this morning, right on. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to roll with the punches, be flexible, don't get stressed out, and listen to them and listen to the trades and figure out what can I do, how can we compromise, and it's worked really well. The flooring guy is finished this morning, and hey, Hunter said had to track me down. Oh, I wonder if Telegram or if Twitch isn't working this morning. I got to figure that out because we're getting a little bit of growth and traction over there, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So anyway, I had plans. This is going to be to the theme of today's show is what I had planned on doing, and what life has actually done has been a different thing. But I had plans of putting in windows, building a deck, putting down carpet, a whole bunch of things at the daycare over the last 2 weeks. I did manage to get 6 basement windows installed, which is a huge positive for me. So I was excited about that. The other stuff had to wait. Just wasn't going to get done with all the jobs that came up in my business over the last couple of weeks and all the other stuff. So anyway, here's some excitement. I get a text message from Becky. She's supposed to be flying in from Vancouver to Edmonton a couple nights ago. She said, we're still on the plane. She can send them through Wi-Fi because they have on Wi-Fi. She said, we're still on the plane. We couldn't land in Edmonton. We tried to land. It was a nasty thunderstorm. So now they're diverting us to Calgary. So they diverted them to Calgary. They landed in Calgary, thought they were going to spend the night there and get up in the morning and drive. Turned out that about an hour, 2 hours later, they get themselves a new pilot, back in the air and back to Edmonton. So it was kind of a stressful end to the end of a really good trip, which they had a blast. Becky get to check off a bucket list item. Aerosmith, always wanted to see them. So she got that. I was happy. I always told her I'd get her there. I wish I could have went with her, but I was so happy for her to go and enjoy it with her sister. Cam and Colby from the Casual Preppers. If you didn't listen to that show yet, do yourself a favor. They are just genuine, cool, down to earth, pretty funny kind of prepper guys, and they have a really big podcast. It was a lot of fun to have them on with me. They don't do interviews very often, trying to get into it, but so it was another really good get for the workshop, and they're going to come back. So we decided we all have a mutual affinity for the film Signs. If you haven't seen it, there's a lot of good SHTF lessons in that movie, but it's just an all-around good episode or good movie. So we're going to do an episode all around it, put a bunch of notes together. It's going to be a good one. So I hope you enjoy that. And then I had a couple of really cool interview opportunities for people to be interviewed for the show. First off, at Prepper Camp, the musical artist 5 Times August is going to be there. And I had a mutual acquaintance make a connection for me behind the scenes. And we're going to try to meet up and do a brief interview at the Prepper Camp itself. And hopefully that turns into more of a long-term or a full-fledged interview on the show down the road when I'm back and able to do that. And then I had a really cool one. You guys, I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about it before, but the forearm forklift, it's those orange straps we use to lift really heavy furniture and that sort of thing. Well, I enjoy them. I've always used them. I did a review on them a couple years ago, and it wasn't super successful or anything, but it was a good review. Well, anyway, I get this message from a guy named Mark. Turns out he's the inventor of the forearm forklift. I've watched some videos on him before because he's been fighting a battle with counterfeits for a long time, and it's bit into his business, and it's given his product a bad name. Anyway, he reached out to me and said he liked my review. He's going to send me a couple other products, and it's pretty cool, but I'm going to end up having him on the show, which is a pretty cool thing. Just a really neat entrepreneur. I think he fits perfectly into the grand scheme of what the Workshop podcast is all about. So we're going to bring him on once I get back again from my next road trip. We'll get him figured on, get a time, and yeah, it'll be great. So the thrust of the show today, what we were going to talk about, I decided, well, since all of my focus over the last, 21, 28 days has been getting ready for this epic road trip. Ever since I decided to drive, things have changed, and for the better, because I'm able to take things. I'm able to be way more prepared than if I tried to fly. So I started making a plan, and we're going to go through it. I'm going to share with you some of the lessons I've learned and talk about it a little bit. First, I'm going to talk about putting together audio presentations or speaking. So when you agree to a speaking engagement, the first thing they want, of course, is the title of your presentation. And for me, I need that title because that title, when putting something together, formulates all of my thoughts. It puts everything together. Whenever I get like one of those little random thoughts, that helps formulate it. So first thing I need to do is come up with a topic, and then I spend a couple hours polishing the title. I know that sounds crazy, but the title's the hook. That's what brings everybody in. And when you know what you're talking about, then I have that. So once I have that title, it's like 3 months ago, then I title an empty notepad in my phone, exactly what that is. So for SRF, it was from content to currency. And anytime I hear an illustration, a story, I get a thought or an idea, anything that ties into that, I just throw it in there. And I do that for like a month to 6 weeks. And then when I'm ready to put together the presentation, or at least start, I just sit down, I put that title at the top of a Word document, I copy and paste whatever I had from my phone, and then I just brain dump for like 2 hours, just write anything random, whatever comes to mind. So it's just a whole bunch of scattered thoughts about that topic. You know, hey, Martinson family, good to have you. I try to, you know, whatever, if I know roughly how long the presentation needs to be, then I know roughly how many words I need on the page. And so I just brain dump. That's it. And then I just leave it there and I let it simmer for, I don't know, a week or so. And then I come back after everything's kind of worked together in my brain. This is just how I found my system works. And you know, your mileage may vary, but I wanted to share with you a bit about my creative process in case at some point one of you guys or some of you out there are already doing some speaking, just thought it might help a little bit. So once I got that brain dump all over the page, yeah, that sounds kind of gross, doesn't it? I organize the notes and I start making an outline. So I create an outline from the brain dump, and then I start moving paragraphs around, and then I start eliminating things, adding things, and then just kind of freshening it up, because you know, you get that brain dump of a whole bunch of random thoughts, and they might be good, but they don't make kind of a coherent journey through the topic. So then that outline, you know, you make an outline from it, and then you move all those points around so that it, you know, it's logical progression from the first time I make content to the first time I make $1 in content, and that sort of thing, right? And Chris says, have you ever actually have you tried actually typing your notes into Word document? It kind of gives you a chance to rewrite everything that you talked about, and then you can just expand on it. Yes. If you mean, do you mean after the fact, Chris, or do you mean beforehand? Because yeah, so what I tend to do is put everything, like I said, in a big Word document, then I move it around. So I like to have a full, I basically write out the whole presentation so that I have it. And then I turn it back into an outline so that my brain has already developed what I want to say. And then, you know what, I will speak it out loud 10 or 12 times just to be comfortable, because I want to give the people who have spent their money to come and hear everyone speak, I want to give them the most bang for their buck. So I want it to be polished. I want it to be entertaining, inspiring, and informative. So that's where I head with it. But yeah, and then I turn it into Cliff's notes. So when I'm ready to go, you know, when I'm ready and I've got everything where I need to be, I will take a 1-page outline of either hand scribbled notes or a typed page with me. And it doesn't look like much to most people, but all that is so my brain doesn't go, oh, look, a squirrel, and then I'm off on a tangent somewhere. It gives me that step-by-step process. I know everything I'm going to say. I've, you know, kind of formulated and polished my delivery, but yeah, that's where I go from there. So yeah, that's a bit. I will do probably a full episode on this topic down on, you know, down the road. I'm going to do a full one. And Chris says maybe a convo for another time. Don't want to clutter the show. No worries, man. And this, yes. So I wanted to touch on this a bit today. I've got like 4 different segments, but this one is going to be a full episode, especially once I'm past Self-Reliance Festival and Prepper Camp. And also while I'm at it, I got to say there's going to be one more trip this year down south to somewhere warm in November. I'm not sure how much more I can say yet, but yeah, so another cool opportunity. So then that's kind of getting ready for a presentation. The next thing was I also have to put together for a camping trip. Now, I'm not really much of a camper, to be honest. You know, I don't mind tents. I don't mind that stuff, but we tend as a family to go and stay in hotels. We even had a camper and we just didn't use it that much. So then I'm traveling, you know, 3,500 kilometers, yeah, cross country. So, round trip, and I need to haul everything I can. So first off, I'm glad that I'm driving. That's the first thing. But I need to put everything together that I'm going to need. And my biggest thing is I'm always worried I'm going to forget something. I like to be prepared. And I guess that's where all the prepperness comes out in me, because that's really what it is. So first off, I had to put together what I had, and then I needed to make a list of what I needed to buy. And the big thing that I really wanted was a cot that I could sleep on. I'm done sleeping on the ground. And I wanted something that would hold my big and long frame. So I finally found one on Amazon. I ordered it about 10 days ago. I thought it would have been here a lot sooner. I was getting kind of nervous, and it finally showed up yesterday at supper time, literally the last shipping day before I leave to go. And the beauty of it is there's no assembly. It just folds out, and man, I laid on that, and it's comfortable. I can handle it. So I'm happy with that. I got to take a folding table with me. I also need a pop-up awning. All of things that I found out after the fact that I decided to drive. So I'm really glad I'm driving, because otherwise I wouldn't have had a table to set up at prepper camp for, meeting and selling my patches and all of that kind of stuff. So doing my best to figure out what I'm going to take all the way across the country. Keto snacks. So Becky ordered me a ton of stuff for the road, just basically almost all beef jerky. I've got a bag of freeze-dried Colby Jack cheese that we can thank Nate and Aaron for. So that's going with me. I left that one sealed up specifically for the trip. I'm not taking a cooler with me. Just going to take a couple of cases of drinks. I'll get hot or cold food on the road. I'm not taking anything with me to cook at camp. I'm just going to make sure I have enough food with me to eat while I'm there. And there's also food vendors and that sort of thing as well. But it just is what it is. Space is a premium. I am going to come back with some stuff. So I needed some space for that, but I'll have my truck, which is good. Speaking of which, I went for an oil change a couple days ago, a little bit early, but I figured with, almost 7,000 kilometers round trip that an oil change was in order. And of course, they give it a good, underneath inspection just to make sure everything's good. Still due to go up and give the truck a quick detailing. You always feel better when you have a clean vehicle. And I have been, like I said, running around like a chicken with my head cut off for the last 3 weeks. And of course, the first thing that gets neglected is the truck. And the second thing that gets connected is the workshop. So yeah, that's been cleaned up. The truck has been tidied up, but it needs a good vacuuming and a good wipe down. Just is what it is. Yeah, needs a good cleaning. Test now. The other thing is just to make sure the tent works. So that's got to be put back up. The cot works. I know the awning works. So just testing all this gear so that I don't show up at a preparedness event and realize, hey, I'm not prepared. But I mean, 3,000, 4,000 kilometers. I'll take what I can. I got all my power bricks packed up. I got a lot of my clothes packed up and a lot of my promo gear that I'm going to be taking with me. Some giveaways, and I got some patches to sell while I'm there, and just looking forward to it. But no matter how hard you try, there's going to be something you forget, and that's okay. So cut yourself some slack when you're doing these big, long trips. Now, from there, I haven't talked about this part a whole lot, but I had 4 days between Prepper Camp and Self-Reliance Festival. And for some reason, I figured I didn't have enough to do. Oh, that's all right. I mean, I wanted to fill in as much time as I could while I was there. So I had the opportunity to take some training at Tactical Response. Going to be a lot of fun. If you guys want to look at what's going on at that point, go ahead and check out their website. Just not going to chat too openly about it and for whatever reason, but it's a whole bunch of skills I've never done before. I'm really excited. Now, here's the thing. I like learning new skills, but learning new skills also makes you feel like, I don't know. Anyway, as a guy and you go to somewhere with a bunch of people that have probably done things a lot more than you have, yeah, it's just intimidating. So I want to be there. I want to be as prepared as I can. So I've been trying to prep for that as well. And there's a whole gear list for that I needed to take care of, and a whole bunch of other considerations coming from a long distance and crossing a border. So certain things I have to get south of the border. So a trip to Cabela's is in order when I get down there. And yeah, just watching videos, trying to learn what I can ahead of time, and just have to accept the fact that I'm going to be a complete and utter doofus for, the first few hours as I get comfortable with doing it. and be okay with it. So one of the things I decided was I added a couple of hours to my trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing through Camden on my way to North Carolina ahead of time so that I can find out where TAC Response is, where the bunkhouse is I'm going to be staying in, make sure I've got all the gear I need, have all that out of the way, because on Sunday evening, I'm the last speaker at Prepper Camp, and I believe I finish at 6 o'clock, and then I need to get on the road and drive to Camden immediately after that. It's about a 6-hour drive, and be ready for 7:30 range time the next morning, which is totally fine. I knew what I was in for, but I just want to have myself as prepared as I can for this. Yeah. And of course, we're doing a bunch of renos at the daycare on top of all this, which is totally fine. But it was just, this was quite possibly 3 of the busiest weeks I have had in recent memory. The business was, of course, this is the time of year where you get a lot of random things. So we had, dump runs and window cleaning and a couple of calls on gutter cleaning, and then the last mowing and the last property inspection, just all kinds of things. So there was all that, which was great. You had the renos going on at the daycare. Becky was on vacation, which I wanted her to go. I was so excited. And then on top of it, the big thing was making sure that I have all this content ready to roll out for when I'm gone. And that's just part of it. Like, this is not, I hope this doesn't come across as a bitch session. I just want to let you see the inner workings of making sure that I have everything in place and ready so that it runs smoothly while I'm gone, But so I scripted and filmed 4 tool review videos, got them edited and put up, and got the shorts done for TikTok and Instagram and all that. Scripted and recorded 4 podcasts for you, so you get something new while I'm gone as well. Rather excited. I picked a day each weekend to get some of that done. Some really cool episodes. I got one coming up on, they're all short, like 20, 25 minutes. Got one on silver, one on canning, one on anyway, I'm going to leave one as a surprise for you. I've kind of talked about it a little bit, and if you're listening to the Casual Preppers, you might know, but that one's going to be good. And I can't remember what the 4th one is right at the moment, but they're all uploaded and ready to go for you. Tool review videos are good. And yeah, one other kind of lesson I learned about content while I'm gone, and this is from when I was in both Florida this year and then when I went out to mom and dad's last year, is each time I went, all I did was create content for the 2 weeks I was gone, which is okay. But what I discovered was, if I didn't have something in the bag or in the bank for the week after, it made it 100 times more overwhelming. Because what happens is you come back and you get all these little fires and all this stuff that was, dealt with, but needed to be dealt with while you were gone. So all that is waiting for you when you get back. And then you've got 2 or 3 pieces of content you got to make too. So this time I decided to have an extra weeks of content. So anything you can do to prep things ahead of time and have it ready for you, it's just going to make your life a little bit easier. So whether that's, taking a road trip and having certain jobs done before you leave, so that when you come home, because there's a lot of work, you got laundry, everything. When you get back from a long trip, you got all this stuff's got to be put away, and then you got to do all your regular things. So anything you can eliminate on the back end is a huge help too. So what I did was I put together like 12 thoughts here. It's probably going to be a little shorter episode today, and that's okay, because as soon as this is done, it's back to finishing up, getting ready for this trip. And yeah, I leave, I think Monday morning about 5 in the morning. The girls have a day off from school because the queen died, and yeah, is what it is there. So here's some thoughts about training or putting things together for presentations, preparing for long trips, that kind of stuff. But the first thing that came to mind for me as I was putting this together is, I love to learn new things. So tactical response, I am so excited about going and taking those courses. I love to learn new things, but the idea of learning new skills also makes me anxious and nervous in a good sense. Like, it's a good anxious, a good nervous, and that's okay too, because nothing's more frustrating than at the very beginning when you're ready to learn a new skill and you suck at it. Now, I don't mind sucking at something when there's nobody around, but boy, I got to tell you, I hate sucking at a skill when there's people around. That's just me. I don't know why it is. So I need to get over that. Whatever. Yeah. But so I'm excited about learning this new skill. I'm excited about going to this new place and learning these new skills. But it also is a stressor on top of everything else. And yes, you can say, well, Tim, you took it on yourself. Yeah, I did. And I'm excited about all of that. Like all of this has been the process leading up to everything that's coming afterwards. And to have a good time, to get away and to do all this incredible shit, there's so much work behind it that has to get done. And all that work is basically done now. So anyway, over the last 3 weeks, I got to say there's probably been a half dozen occasions where I was just completely overwhelmed in a good sense. And that's okay too. I just, and you know what it is? It's always the little things. It's like because I fill in the big things. So every day, before the day, I figure out, okay, these are the 3 or 4 big jobs that I'm going to do. And they're great. But then all of a sudden there's a Facebook message from a customer. Hey, are you busy today? Or a phone call. The pilot light in the furnace went out. So it's all the little things, right? And those are the things that just make you want to punch a wall. So you just got to work through them. And that's okay too, because when I'm gone, my son takes care of a lot of it, but I still deal with some of it as I'm on the road. So, Hunter says, I appreciate that, Hunter. He says, with training, I tell all my people, you are not a badass. That's why you're here. Thank you, sir. That's pretty good. I appreciate that because that helps. So it's the little things. So when you're trying and, I know I've got 10 days to get everything done. So I have 10 days worth of stuff to do. And all of a sudden when an 11th day worth of jobs show up, you're like, shit, now what am I going to do? Right. Just, the quick text, a quick phone call. That's what just sets you off. And then you move on, you deal with it, and that's okay. Now, here's the other thing. And I've heard Nicole talk about this too, because I know she does a shit ton of some of this stuff, getting ready for events. I had to make certain concessions in order to get all of this done. So, I pride myself on always having the content out there for you guys. I pride myself on always getting my jobs done. And so certain things just had to go. I had to figure out what the drop dead non-negotiables were. And I had to figure out which things could slide by and move. So a few things I did to free up the tail end of this was, of course, decided to have a Saturday morning live stream instead of a Saturday evening. And then I had a really great guest lined up for tomorrow night. And I just decided about a week ago, and he's so great. It's Iridium from the Iridium Group, a great guy from Vancouver, that I wasn't going to be able to do justice to his episode if I had him on Sunday evening, because my ass would be worried about getting up in the morning and hitting the road. And I want to go to bed early. Sleep's important. So I'm like, you know what? I messaged him. I said, can we move this around? He was great about it, but that was on me. So I had to make that concession. I had to decide, you know what? I'm only going to do 2 episodes a week, pre-record it instead of 3. Some of those things you just have to make certain concessions when you're putting stuff out there, when you're ready to get things done. Now here's something else that I found at LFTN, and I'm sure I'm going to find at some of these events too. I find you go there with the intention of making all the content, of recording things, of having great collaboration videos with people. And what ends up happening is, which is way better than that, you sit down and have these great epic conversations in person, and you rarely record anything because you're so in the moment and you enjoy it. And that's okay. But what else I also find is, for me, something that's kind of cathartic is after the event or in the evening at Prepper, it won't be like this, but when you go back to your hotel, that's when I like to sit down and maybe do a half-hour recording or a half-hour live stream. And again, brain dump. I use that word a lot, but get all of the stuff that's really fresh out in the ether so that you guys can share in it. And as much for me to be able to go back and say, oh yeah, I forgot I learned that. And then I can apply that to being better for something else, or it helps me for a lesson for the next event, that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. Next time, and I've said this a bunch, and Becky always busts my balls for it, but I am going to schedule a bit more breathing room in some of these trips. I'm the type of guy that tries to, if I have 15 hours, I am going to book 15 and a half hours of stuff to do in a trip. And that is in my nature, and I need to overcome that. So the next time, there's just no room to move anything around for any breathing room at this point, and that happens. So next time I do this, I am scheduling a couple of days in there for just nothing so that I can just go and recharge or not travel, whatever it is. Just to me, that will make things more helpful. So if you're the type of person that loves to fill every minute of every day because, you're spending all this money to travel to a foreign country, you want to get your money's worth out of it. You want to see all the people, do all the things, learn all the stuff, but you got to look out for yourself too. So it's going to be fun. And then sometimes things just aren't going to get done. Some of the little things that you think, man, I really want to do this or I really want to do that. You got to stay flexible and say, okay, this is just not a priority right now. The big things are the priority. Those are the things that need to get done. And the little things that you think, I'd love to do, because part of my brain, and I've heard a few other content creators say this, is when it's busy season and you've got a lot of stuff to get done, there's times that you just want to run out and work on a completely pointless project, because what it does is it shuts your brain down. It just allows you to do nothing. So what I ended up doing over the last couple of weeks was a few evenings, Charlotte came to me and she's like, hey, Dad, want to watch a movie? And immediately I was going to say, oh, no, I got too much. I said, and I didn't. I said, yeah, let's watch them. So we watched all 4 of the Jackass movies. That was a huge break for me. It was great because I knew, hey, we're going to sit down. We're going to just laugh our asses off at stupid humor that Becky will never watch with us for an hour and a half. And I don't have to worry about any of the other work that needs to be done. And it was a great refresher, a great kind of social battery recharge, and a great way to turn my brain off for a while. So if you get to the point when you're creating or when you're working or whatever it is, and your brain just can't do anymore, remember to take a break. Take a break doing something, take a break watching something, take a break doing nothing whatsoever. Take a break and have a cup of coffee. And finally, social media. I have been really scarce on social media the last week and a half, and probably for the last month, it's been quite scarce too. And I don't care. I'm totally fine with that. Even I've barely even been in the Telegram group the last week. That's okay. It's there. It'll be there for when I get back and have time to commit more to it. But to me, my priorities were getting ready for the presentations, getting ready, making the content that I know that I can make and get out there. I had some great interviews the last few weeks I've been excited about, and I've put all my blood, sweat, and tears into those interviews for you guys, and I'll be around. It's not that I'm ignoring anybody or, it's just, what do they say? There's a season under the sun for everything, and that is what it is right now. That has been, I'm excited. Now, slide all of that around, and this is, so, you what is it, a pendulum? Is that what you want to call it? Sure, it is. So you work really, really hard for all this time to get ready to take off and do all the fun things. So right now I'm at the point where all of this stuff before me is done. And now I'm excited to get out and do all this shit with everybody. So what do I want to see? What do I want to get out of all of this? A bunch of things. I would say probably the first thing is all the connections. When I left, you can't leave an event like, well, for me, it was the LFTN Spring Workshop, and I'm sure Self-Reliance Festival will be the same way, and I'm sure Prepper Camp will be the same way. But you can't leave an event like that without coming away motivated, tired, and changed. So when you leave, remember the things that you learn. This is what I'm going to do. I mean, I've got access to all these cool speakers. I'm going to try to make some time, because at LFTN, I didn't go to any presentations. I was more interested in sitting and chatting with people, and that may happen at Prepper Camp too, because that's me. That's who I am. I would spend any amount of money to just have uninterrupted time with people I care about, people I want to be around, people I want to just absorb their energy and learn from, and also share with and hopefully help. So yeah, with these big events, you're going to go, if this is your first time going to one of these, you're going to go with the idea that you're going to do all the things, see all the things, hear all the things, learn all the things. And what's really going to happen is 10% of that, if you're lucky. But the intangible is what's worth it. When you leave and you've made the contacts, the connections, and something clicked while you were there, or it might click in the car on the way home, and you're like, yeah, that is the get shit done idea that I needed. But yeah, for me, I'm looking forward to the sitting around the campfires. I'm looking forward to interacting with everybody and anybody I can. I'm looking forward to getting better as a public speaker and a presenter, because each opportunity like this is another step forward in that journey. And I love that. I'm looking forward to checking off some states that I've never been through yet. I think I'm going to add 3 or 4, maybe 5 new states to my list, getting closer to having all them colored in on the, on the magnet board or something like that. I'm going to bring Becky back some magnets for her. I'm looking forward to experiencing new things and new places I haven't done before. And I'm looking forward to hearing all the incredible stories from other people of when they come back and they're like, hey, that time when you talked about, you remember when you told the water boy story and you hollered out that you can do it. And then I went home and I created a podcast, and I've made an episode every single week since we chatted, or I reached out for this, or I reached out for that, or I reached out and collaborated with these guys. You remember that? Well, because you stood there like an idiot and you hollered, you can do it. That's why I did it. So that's what I'm looking forward to, hearing about all the damn exciting things that come out and just happen. Ken says the video connection isn't working over on Telegram. Sorry about that, Ken. I started it up. We've been having some trouble with Telegram lately, and I had a couple of errors come up on the live stream at the beginning. So we're over, if you can't hear, we're over on YouTube at the moment too. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy it. So what is there to look forward to over the next couple of weeks? Well, in the workshop, there's a few things, but the first thing that I'm excited about, like I said, are those pre-recorded episodes. I have a fairly substantial back catalog of content, but I'm just not at the point where I'm ready to do rewind episodes yet. I'm just not going to. I thought about putting together, a package of a whole bunch of expert counsel questions, but that would have required so much editing that I figured, hey, I will just put together 20-minute episodes on things, they're kind of story-centered, story-related. The silver and gold episode is some notes I've been sitting on for a while. I'm quite excited about that one. Just a lot of fun episodes. So you got that to look forward to. All my normal review videos, if you're one that watches the review videos, are coming out. And then as I go, there will be some impromptu live streams that I'm excited for too. Picked up a phone mount for my truck because I don't want to be driving and talking on my phone while holding it, because, well, you know how that is. It's just not a good thing. But I know I will find time to do some impromptu live streams. And I'll do an after action report on Prepper Camp. I'll do an after action report on Tactical Response. And I'll do an after action report on Self-Reliance Festival, which I'm really excited about. And hopefully coming out of Self-Reliance Festival, I can finally announce my final appearance for 2022 in the U.S. So it's all confirmed and set down. I just don't know if I can spill the beans yet, so I'm not going to. But I'm sure if you guys, get your brains together and think about it, you can probably figure out where I'm going to be. So that's exciting too. But that's it for me this week, guys. Every time I get to my last live stream before I'm going to be here for a couple of weeks, I don't know. I'm always sad that I'm not going to be in to chat with you guys live for a couple of weeks. And that's okay. That just shows how much I love doing this. And it is not just a passion of helping people. It's also an income for me now. And I'm really enjoying that. So I thank you guys so much for that support. And yeah, for the guys and gals that I'm going to see at the events, I can't wait to see you. I'll pop in when I have opportunity in here. Probably won't be a whole lot, and there won't be any real notice on the live stream, so they'll be there for you. But if I don't see you, in the words of what is it, Truman? Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah. So I will see you guys on the flip side when I get back. And Hunter, you know what? He just asked me if I have a travel comms and waypoints plan. I have a waypoints plan. I have my phone and a backup phone. I'm going to share that with Becky so that she has it, but I will be a little more forward and intentional on this, just so she knows, because yeah, that's a good point. I'm never used to traveling by myself. It's always with someone else. So yes, I will implement something like that as I go to, just to be safe. I've already got a waypoints plan, so that part's done. And Becky and I can track each other on GPS with our phones. That's a huge help too, of course, as long as your phone's working, right? But anyway, guys, that's it for me this week. I'm excited. I can't wait to see you guys all back here in 2.5 weeks. And in the meantime, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.